Gonna get everybody in this mofo. Gonna get everybody in this mofo. Cowboys lose, Cowboys lose, Cowboys lose, Cowboys lose. Let me check these scores here. Panthers are getting smoked. All right, so the Cowboys are gonna pick 10th, right? Looks like the Cowboys are gonna pick 10th, ladies and gentlemen. That's where you are for draft purposes. Number 10. I'd like to congratulate myself on just waking up from a nap, feeling refreshed. So, hi. Just a couple things I wanted to talk about real quick. And of course, what's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. And of course, you are welcome to contribute what you want to hear about right now. I'm just having a party. I'd just be chilling. And Henry, you hit my first topic. He says, get Jaylon out of this team. Entitled. I'll leave out the name calling. Jaylon has a great story. Jaylon has a great story. The whole Jaylon Smith dynamic with the Cowboys is freaking weird to me. He was asked after the game if he thought he would be back next year, because I guess there are people talking about, and for a reason, about if the Cowboys might part ways with Jaylon in the offseason. They could save $400,000, which is not a lot. You would be eating $9.4 million just to move on from him. And I doubt that they'll do it, only because I don't think they would want to create another hole on the roster. It's tough. It's tough. Justin, appreciate you. Look, Justin is blessing me with a boon. I appreciate you, dude. But Jaylon said, watch the tape. Like, if you watch the tape and you know our scheme, I'm just going to leave it at that. If people watch the tape, Jaylon, they would want to replace you. But how does, I don't understand how inside the organization, I don't get it. Because inside the organization, it must be getting reinforced to him that he's playing great. It has to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like that. And the celebrating when they gave up a first down, and the celebrating when you committed a penalty, and the celebrating like you made a sack when it was Tank Lawrence who made a sack. It's a whole weird deal with Jaylon that I don't get. So could they move on? They absolutely could. I know that that's a conversation that might happen. I know that. And so we'll see. I don't understand it. I don't understand the whole Jaylon dynamic with this team. He epitomizes everything that Jerry Jones is selling, so it makes all the sense in the world. Hold on, sending out a tweet real quick to tell people we're live. That's what Jerry wants. It's about you. It's about individual branding. That's what Jerry wants. So. Whatever. It would be weird to cut him from just a team building perspective, because now you'd have an even bigger glaring hole at linebacker than you already do, and you wouldn't save any money, and they're kind of close to the cap already. So just from a practical money perspective, I don't know how you do it, but if they do, I'll totally understand it, because you'd love to upgrade that spot. And then a year from now, you would have no dead money from the Jaylon thing, and you'd be on into the future, and you would have moved on. So, not impossible, but I don't know if they'll actually move on. Do we know the draft order yet? We do not. Currently, the Cowboys would pick 10th. Who else is still playing right now? Is Denver still playing? If Denver wins, and they're up by 1, you'd move up to 9. So I think the Cowboys would probably pick 9th or 10th, and they could move up to 9 if Denver wins. So the Jaylon Smith thing, it's a weird delusion. So apparently everybody's telling him that he plays great, even though he doesn't play great. So whatever. Wesley, thank you for actually blaming the players instead of the media who think a non-challenge cost Dallas the game. Okay, that's the next thing I want to talk about, Mike McCarthy. Because this is interesting too. They could have gone for 2 early in the game. Not early in the game, but in the third quarter to make it a 3-point game if they get it. And they could have challenged on a play that led to a Giants field goal, and they didn't. And so, was the not going for two stupid? No. If they'd have gone for it, would I have gone, oh, okay, yeah. But by not doing it, it's okay. The reason you go for two in different spots is because most of the times in those situations, what you're doing is you're playing a game of trying to figure out how am I going to win this game and assuming the other team's not going to score. But in that case, you're early, mid third quarter, so you're assuming 3 or 4 more possessions. So if I try to make it a 3-point game, but I leave it a 5-point game, and now they kick a field goal, now I have to score and get a 2-point conversion just to tie the game. Whereas if I, take my extra point here, then an extra point. So there's just it's just so much more time left that I don't care if they went for 2 there or not. If they were convicted that was a good idea and they did, okay, I'd have no problem with it. But yeah, if there were 7 minutes in the game, you would go for 2 there. But when there's 23 or whatever, you're assuming more possessions that you don't know the outcomes of them yet. And so whatever, if you don't go for it, the analytics community is not going to be outraged about that one. Now, the challenge. This, I had to examine myself about the challenge because on the Mike McCarthy no challenge, he is the one with the challenge flag. He is the head coach. So ultimately, is it up to him? Yes. But the dynamics of the challenge is very simple. Mike McCarthy is not watching the replays. Someone in a booth is watching the replays and telling him yes or no. You're not going to have head coaches who are standing there on the field who knows what their view was. So Mike McCarthy at that moment doesn't have a clue if he's supposed to challenge or not. No head coach would. You're waiting on someone else to tell you, we can win this challenge, throw it. Because at that point, you're in a 4-point game with 3 timeouts. If I burn a timeout on a bad challenge, I'm an idiot. And if you don't challenge it because your booth didn't tell you to challenge it, I can't blame the head coach for that. Now, you can talk to Packer fans who are going to tell you that Mike McCarthy's not a very good in-game coach, and that may be true. He might be a bad head coach. But, yeah, we would kill Garrett for something like this, and I'm not killing McCarthy. So then the question in your brain is, why? Why am I not killing McCarthy when I would have killed Garrett? And I think the answer is just with Garrett, you had gotten through, by the time we were killing him for everything, 7 or 8 years of underachieving for the most part. So there was no benefit of the doubt. With McCarthy, it's just nobody told me to throw the flag. Why am I going to throw the flag and risk a timeout on my own just going rogue? I'm not going to do that. And I don't want you to. Just throw it out of what? Hope? No, you're told to throw a challenge flag. So the reason I'm not killing McCarthy for something that we probably did kill Garrett for at the end is just benefit of the doubt. It's just that one guy you no longer liked as a head coach, you knew his shortcomings, and you didn't like him. So it was like, well, whatever. Just, yes, his fault. And with McCarthy, I haven't reached that point yet. I have no idea if he's a good coach. We'll find out later. Wesley, Sham said it best in the postgame with Broadus. A coach on the visiting sideline doesn't get the same views we get sitting at home on our couch. Correct. We get to see it and we're like, oh, and by the way, I don't know that they would have overturned it. Not that that matters, but he just has to get all the information he can and ask himself. Kennard, ask yourself, Jeff, what has McCarthy done this season? Great question. I don't know. I believe Kellen Moore is mostly responsible for the offense. I believe McCarthy is responsible for hiring his coaching staff, and I think Mike Nolan is probably a bad hire, so you can hold that against him. But the job of the head coach is just to be the head coach. You are the leader of the team. And this team achieved exactly what it should have. No quarterback, no left tackle, no right tackle. You lost extra tackles. You lost your right guard. You never had your starting tight end. You lost linebackers, D tackles, corners throughout the year. This team wasn't supposed to be good. If you wanted this team to be good and Mike McCarthy to do magic, I think your expectations were jacked up. This team achieved what it should have, and at the end of the year, they were still fighting, scrapping, and clawing. So for McCarthy, I don't know. I don't know if he is a positive on game day, but so far he's not a negative, and I think Garrett was a negative. So, and Lee Sandoval, I appreciate you, homie. Shout out to you, Lee. You're a beast. Kellen Moore re-signing reminds me of Garrett and Wade. Me too. But that's us assuming that Boise State was going to offer the job to Kellen and that he was turning it down and accepting a money whip from Jerry with perhaps a promise of what his future would be here. And I could totally see that. We don't know it, but I could absolutely see that was telling Kellen Moore, look, here's more money, and you are the next Cowboys head coach. I could see that conversation happening, and that would absolutely be a reason that Kellen would have said, oh, okay, I'm going to stay here. So that's that. Draft time, says Jeff. Should we trade Waddle? I'm sorry, draft Jaylen Waddle, Alabama receiver, and trade Michael Gallup? If the best player available is a wide receiver, I would take one and then know that I have extras and use one of my receivers to pick the player I want that's a proven commodity at a position I need. I think that's totally a viable strategy. I have my doubts that this team would do that. They'll probably do more of trying to draft the defense. But I think that's a viable option. If you feel best about a Kyle Pitts or Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Jaylen Waddle, whatever, name your offensive player in the draft. If you feel like that's the best player, you can absolutely pick him. And then you could use the depth that you have at that position to move one of them and get a sure thing at a position of need. A guy that you've seen in the NFL be successful, and you could flip things around that way to make your team the best you can. The good teams build their team through everything. Free agency, the draft, picking the best available player as often as you can, using your own roster as a way to build the roster by moving people. You could absolutely take an offensive player, and I would not be mad at them if they were picking their best player. What's going down for Pitts or Waddle? I don't know yet. I know that I'm going to have them both as first-round players, but I don't have them in order yet. Actually, I'm going to do some defensive tackles this week, and then on Wednesday night, we'll do some talking about some draft stuff. We'll talk about a lot of the defensive tackles. Josh Beauchamp, what are your top DC candidates for the somewhat inevitable? George Edwards is on the staff and has a history running a 4-3 if they want to be a 4-3 team. So I think George Edwards is the biggest name to know. But other than that, we'll see. We'll see if there's names that become available or what names are hot. But George Edwards is the name on your staff that you need to know. Boop, 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 boop. Are the Broncos taking the lead? Somebody said Micah Parsons. They could totally do that. I would not be surprised by that. If they drafted Micah Parsons at the 9th or 10th pick, that would allow them to move on from Jaylon Smith, and I think that's an upgrade. At least it's a guy without the same physical limitations, so I believe that would be an upgrade. But that's a high pick for an off-ball linebacker that still has some developing to do, but there's so much potential there. The potential is that he's Bobby Wagner, so I would not condone that pick, but I would understand what their goal is with that pick. Broncos winning with 6:30 left. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you want Jaylen out of here? It's not that I don't have any hate for Jaylon Smith or anything. Like, I'd literally cheer for everybody in the world. I want Jaylen to do well. I'm glad that he got a bunch of money. I think that's great. I'm just so confused by that situation. Big Judy touchdown is good for my DraftKings. Yeah, the situation just confuses me, and I don't understand how it seems like he thinks that he's playing great all the time. There's this detachment from reality, which makes it not a Jaylen problem, an organizational problem, because it means that's what he's being told, is that he's playing great. It's weird. It's weird. Yes, we loved that Judy. Did I say I was going to talk about anything else? What else was I going to talk about? CeeDee Lamb's got to make that catch late in the game. That hurt my heart. CeeDee's a stud. He's had a really good rookie year, but he's had too many drops, and he can't be a drop guy. And I think his numbers will fluctuate. I don't think he'll be a drop guy. He has really good hands. I don't know, just concentration, I guess. Rookie, whatever. Jeff, new sub and follower. Love the content. Oh, I appreciate you, Jason. What 3 firings happened on Monday from DeLunatic? Appreciate you, Lunatic, for stopping by and for being a beast. You're a beast. 3 firings. I could see Nolan being fired, DC, and then just go down the list of the defensive staff. You could see secondary coaches. You could see defensive line coaches. You could see linebacker coaches. I think you could see some defensive coaching changes because they're a bad defense. And they had bad defensive players too, so I don't know. draft time. Olave finna cook Surtain. Olave's a really good receiver for Ohio State, and I think I'll be really interested to see that. Because Surtain, the one thing about Surtain is he's just not the super twitchy athlete that you want in a highly drafted corner, but he's been a solid, good player. Caleb Farley, people want Caleb Farley. Now, Caleb Farley is a super twitchy playmaking corner. He's not quite as consistent or refined a player, but he has got more potential upside. Why was Jaylon so good in 2018 but not this year? I think it's just his body. It's just like he has physical limitations, and I don't know if that's something that can fluctuate. I don't know what goes on in his leg or with his nerves and all that stuff. I don't know. But he did. He played good football in 18. And he's played some good football this year. He has limitations that aren't going to change because his body will not allow him to do certain things. Are we ahead of the 49ers even with their loss from Dallas? I don't have this stuff in front of me. Hold on. Let me see the 49ers real quick. Let me check my tankathon. So the 49ers with a loss go to 6-10. The Cowboys are 6-10. Yeah, because of strength of schedule, you'll pick ahead of San Francisco. Don't you worry about San Francisco. You will stay ahead of them. And I appreciate you, Dallas. Aldon Smith. I don't know if Aldon Smith will be back. I really don't. He's been okay. He started off well, and then he's been okay. Jeremy, you don't see it as a mental issue on the field for Jaylon? Yeah, I think there's some of that too. I think he's an eye candy guy. I think his eye discipline leads him to making mistakes for sure. Hey, now we get 2 draft shows from Robert. That's true. The draft show on DallasCowboys.com will now have 2 every week. I believe we are on Tuesdays now that the regular season is over. Biggest position of need currently from Rowan. Defensive tackle, corner, safety. Offensive line's the somewhat sneaky one. People saying Aldon Smith wasn't good at the end. Yeah, and I don't know what that was. If that was just that Aldon Smith's body wasn't ready for a 16-game season because he hadn't played in forever, or what that is. But Randy Gregory is a better player than Aldon Smith now. And so what they need to prioritize is extending Randy Gregory because he's got 1 year left on the cheap. I would see if you could get a sweetheart deal with him for another 2 or 3 and keep Randy Gregory around because that dude might be about to be a monster. Aldon Smith, that may be a prime comp pick guy. Let him go. Somebody else sign him for $8 or $10 million like the Robert Quinn thing. Get you an extra draft pick. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Did I miss anybody? 1 quality corner and a solid defensive tackle. Fix this. Lunatic, appreciate you again. You're a beast. Are we asking 21 for a pay cut? No, they're not going to. No. With Ezekiel Elliott, what you're going to do is at some point you're either going to make a decision to move on from him to save all of that money, or you're not. And he's going to keep playing. I don't think that he'll be a pay cut guy. And I thought he played well today. Thought he played Thought he played well last week. Zeke's a good runner. He's always been a good runner. He's just over the last 3 years really lacked the home run potential and the home run ability. And that's something I would like to have in a running back. But when you're wanting short yardage, tough yardage, goal line yardage, he's still a beast. He's a good running back. He's just, I don't know if he's an elite running back. Michaela, are you a Cowboys fan? I want the Cowboys to win. I think I've been doing my job long enough that I do it more from an analyzing perspective than from fandom. And so, but yeah, I want them to win. If you had to say who is your football team, it'd be the Dallas Cowboys. Daniel Escobar, you're a beast. I love you, brother. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all you for hanging out and being interested in the content that I put out. It's really cool. I appreciate it. Derrick Henry, 2,000 yards. Derrick Henry's tough. The dude's tough. Wouldn't pay him either. Wouldn't pay anybody. Ninja Nuts, I don't think Nick Bolton will be there in the second round, but that would be amazing. I also don't think Nick Bolton will be there in the second round. That's the kind of guy that I'll mock draft all day and have the Cowboys trying to pick him at where will they be? Somewhere around 40, but he'll end up going at 22 or 24. Please don't pick your nose. Am I picking my nose? Do I do something? Sorry. We need one of everything on defense. They do need a lot of things on defense. That's accurate. Do you think Will McClay leaves? I don't think so, but if a team comes calling and says, come run our team and here's a bunch of money, then I don't see why he wouldn't. But he also has a family tie here. I don't know how old his kiddo is, but I think that's probably been a factor in the past. And they've given him raises in the past to get him to stick around. Obviously, we have to re-sign Randy, but why not also try and see if we can sign Alden as well? If the price is right, I got no problem having Alden Smith back on this team. I got no problem. But the aging pass rusher who wasn't really effective for the entire 16, it's the kind of guy most teams are going to move on from. I don't know, and there's been rumor-ooskies that he would want to leave, so let's just see about that. Would you rather Surtain at 10 or trade back to 20-ish and grab Bolton? Probably Bolton. I love Nick Bolton. I really do. He's a really good linebacker. He's just so rock solid. He can cover. He diagnoses like that. He hits. Really like him. Have you seen any good free safeties, Jeff? No. Apparently, our Darius Washington, the TCU guy, didn't have a great 2020, but his 2019 tape, he was the best safety I've watched in this class. So, Merrick is another guy, the other TCU guy, that I got to see his 2020, because again, on 19, I thought Washington was better. And Merrick is being talked about as the top safety that's going to be picked. How strong is Captain Trade Down now, given the new slotting? Oh, I'm always Captain Trade Down. Trading down is a win in the draft, at least on average. Obviously, just pick the best player. If you pick the best players, whatever you do is going to be right. But trading down is usually the win. Lunatic, over under 10 wins in 2021. That's not fair. I got to see him draft. Because with Dak, they were what? 1-3, and I guess he had the lead when he left, so you could say maybe they were going to go 2-3. I'm not gonna just jump out there and pick 10 wins no matter what. But if you have Tyron Smith and if you have Lyle Collins, and if those